Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cast and Spirit podcast. Today we are joined by Joy Rika, and we're going to be talking about how she was able to get to 131 feet in freediving in less than a year. Welcome back to the show, Joy.
Hey, thanks, John.
So we need to hack this one because I feel like what you did in a short amount of time is just unbelievable, and I want to kind of figure out what you did so people can take bits and pieces and reproduce it for themselves so they can get deeper and dive safer. So what would you attribute, getting down to that depth in a quick amount of time? What is the number one thing that helped you the most?
The number one thing that helped me the most is having a good instructor. And I'm very grateful to have learned from Free Dive to Lou. My instructor, Chris McKay, down there was incredible. He got me to do everything safely. And this was during the time where all the classes in the United States were closed down due to COVID. So I found a teacher in Mexico who had trained me, and I'm very grateful that under his tutelage, I was able to just keep getting a little bit deeper each time that I would train with him.
Now, is the big thing about having the mentor or the coach that he can give you, or he or she can give you that direct feedback right away, like multiple reps, and you notice that it like really course corrected you in the right way, or was there something else?
Right. So, for example, I had a funny right knee that would bend a little bit more than my left knee, and that would cause a sort of imbalance. And so, when I had somebody watching me and giving me corrections on it, I was able to fix it right away and take a look at it. And the same thing is like with my duck dives. Practicing your duck dives without somebody telling you that you're doing it wrong may mean that you're going to practice it wrong for a very long time. So I knew immediately when I started that I wanted to get better. And I remember I would go out with some friends in the very beginning, and I'd say like, okay, so hey, do you mind watching my duck dive? Just tell me what it looks like, or can you video it? Here's my camera. And they'd video it, and you're like, yeah, I was really loud. I was like, oh, I knew it sounded really loud, didn't it? Like I didn't know how to fix it. But when I went to go study, I'd say, okay, well, I want to fix my duck dive. uh, what do I need to do? And then getting feedback and watching somebody who has really amazing, impeccable form and just imitating that. Diving with people who are way better than me is this key to success. Is learning from teachers.
So how did you go about picking your mentor? Is there going to be like a process to pick the right one? Because I'd imagine you have to vibe with them. They have to be pretty darn good to begin with. Did they did they have to be a Spiro as well, or what was your criteria?
Well, when I first started, it was everybody is definitely better than me, so I will learn from you all. Please take me diving with you. And I think my first 5 dives were just like that. Just diving with people that I didn't know too well, and I would beg to let me go out with them, and either we would do the buddy system, or I was very grateful that I got to go out with Anthony from Spear America the first time. And he was like, all right, just stay calm, and any words of advice were just soaked up by me right away. So learning from everyone around me in the community was the first step that I got to just learning how to dive better. And then I really wanted to take the course with Lance Lee Davis because he had the spearfishing and freediving combination course. But because it was a pandemic, there were no spearfishing courses or freediving courses going on at the time. So what I ended up doing was finding a freediving course in Mexico. And this person, yeah, Chris is not a spearfishing hero. He was a freedive purist and also the safety at many competitions. So he's seen a lot of problems that have occurred when people have practiced freediving incorrect, or when they practice a little bit beyond and they need to be rescued. So he's done a lot of rescue, and to me he felt like I could feel safe around him. I could feel like he had a lot of knowledge to share. And yes, personality I think is a huge important part about who you want to pick as a mentor. You want to be able to talk to that person. You want to be able to communicate in a way that you both feel that ease of communication. And yeah, so those are three things that I was looking for.
Now, I was thinking, Did you purposefully choose a beautiful Mexico warm water, or were you was that a criteria for you, or were you not? You just didn't want to do the SoCal. I know the COVID and it was regulations at this point, but would you have done it here in SoCal with colder water, or does location matter?
I 100% would have done it in SoCal cold water. I was ready to go as soon as the classes would be open. Unfortunately, they weren't going to be open, and there was no sign of them being open. And I think the first sign of them being open, they were booked within like 12 hours. I had a friend who said, "Hey, I'm going to go to Tulum and I'm going to study." I'm so glad this was Lizzie. I don't know if you know her, but Lizzie said, "I'm going to go and study for a month, and why don't you come? Why don't you come visit?" And I said, "Okay." I didn't even know what a cenote was. I said, "Hey, I did a Google search. I saw this beautiful thing. It's called a cenote." She goes, "Oh, that's all we're going to be diving." I'm like, "Oh, wow, that's so cool." So I go along with things pretty easily if it's within my vision. And for me, wanted to get better at spearfishing. I wanted to get better at diving, and this was an opportunity. So I went along with it and had an amazing time the first 2 weeks that I went to train. And I decided that I would love to train there another month. And I did train with other instructors that next month. I trained with Roberto Guzman, the national champion of no fins in Mexico, and another unit, another couple of places in Playa del Carmen. I trained with Santa Maya, and it was all a lot of different personalities, and I learned a little bit from each teacher. I'd say that is one of the things is just having access to different teachers allowed me to think about like, oh, they may have said it one way before, but hearing it in another way allowed me to learn.
I love the Jeet Kune Do Bruce Lee vibes, where you're taking only what you need as you need it, kind of piecemealing things together from
Mm.
different people and then making it your own. I love that. Now, your commitment to freediving, a lot of people would be like, holy cow, how did you just take a month or 6 weeks to go learn freediving? I didn't even know that's possible. Can you speak on that? Like, how did you have such a vision and make it work?
So in episode 1, I believe I talked a little bit about faith, about measuring faith and taking a leap of faith maybe is what I tend to push myself to do nowadays is because there's oftentimes that kind of feeling, maybe a nudge in a direction that you'd like to go into. And there's an opportunity that comes, or maybe you make an opportunity. And I'd say just knowing that you want to do something is that first little hint that you might be on that path. And then pushing, not pushing in a negative sense, but just falling into it or allowing yourself to fall into place with it and having faith that, I have this inner feeling, this feeling of, I'd like to do this, yes. And you might even sleep on it, or you might even know in your gut, or you might know just by talking to other people about it. It lights something that lights you up. Go to that direction. If it's gonna light you up, if you're gonna smile, if you're gonna get excited about it, do it. And somehow the universe or whatever is looking out for you allows that path to open up for you because it's somehow aligned with what where your real work is all about. And the more you take steps towards that with faith, I think the more it opens up your opportunities. Now, for me, knowing I didn't know that I could travel. And you want me to talk a little bit about that? Is it happened because I was working with. Do you want me to go into that one? Is it a little bit deeper?
Oh, we can save
With
that. I
that
think
one?
that's going to be another episode. But I think what you're talking about is just awesome. It was basically just setting an intention and like not having any fear and just going for it. So, Joy, I just want to know, I think to wrap up this episode, when you got to 100, I know you got to 131 feet, but once you hit those 3 digits, what changed for you mentally with spearfishing or freediving?
So before any training, I think my personal best with spearfishing was about 50 feet, and I didn't have any technique or any training. So I had a little bit of mouth squeeze, and I was terrified, and I was just looking for a dive knife that I dropped at Point Loma. And I did a couple of dives down to 50 feet without training, and I was like, I just kind of freaked out. Once I learned technique through free diving technique, I learned uh, how to equalize a little more easily, how to prevent mask squeeze, how to prevent lung squeezes by making large movements at depth. I felt a lot more confident as a diver. So when I was falling and going into deeper and deeper dives, when I got to 100 feet the first time, I'm sure the first time I got to 88 feet, I was terrified, and it was a feeling like I was going to die feeling. But the next time you do it, it doesn't feel as bad, and the next time you do it, it feels as bad. So for the first time I got to 100 feet, it was the same kind of sequence. Is that it didn't feel good at first, but it's getting more and more used to depth is the name of the game with free diving. And getting when you get used to something that's a little bit deeper, it's easier to go to 30 feet or 40 feet and make the same dives because it doesn't feel like there's as much effort. And you're like, oh, okay, I'm just like the same way that when you experience 5 or 10 feet the first time, and then you go to 20 feet and you're back at 5 feet, you're like, oh, this is nothing. So there's this kind of nice feel. I know all the techniques that I need to know to equalize properly, kick down properly. So just putting these pieces together and then applying them to my spearfishing when I'm diving.
Well, guys, that does it for this episode. If you want to reach out to Joy, you can find her on Instagram at SpearoJoy, or you can check out her website, joyrika.com. Thanks for coming on, Joy. Hey, one more thing before you go. Do you find yourself watching YouTube as much as I do? I think it's replaced my TV, to be honest. Well, if so, check out the Cast and Spear YouTube channel. We're trying to put up good tips and tricks that we learn as we get better at fishing and spearfishing, and we'd love for you to subscribe and leave a comment. We'll see you there. Bye.